Hello and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I know I've not been around much in the last forever, but hopefully that will change. I am doing my best. So today I wanted to talk to you about energy usage, specifically when you're cooking. Obviously food prices are going through the roof at the moment, which is just terrifying, but so are energy costs. Hello. So are energy costs. So when you are cooking, that's another thing that you have to factor in, that yes, obviously if you are using cheaper food, if you manage to get your food bill down, if it's going to take you a lot more energy to cook that food, then you're not actually making a saving. So I wanted to talk through some of the things that I do at home to try and reduce our energy usage. We have a gas cooker and hob. It is absolutely massive, so it's not very efficient at all. It's also quite old. It's absolutely lovely, but not efficient. So I have some additional electric appliances that I use the majority of the time. However, the price changes now will probably make a slight difference to which is more efficient. So there are a lot of different things that I do when I'm cooking to help reduce our overall energy usage. So I'm quite sure I'm not going to be mentioning all of them, but these are the ones that I feel make the biggest impact on our usage. So the first thing is to know your appliances and know how much things actually cost to cook in each appliance. So I have several different electric appliances. I have my air fryer, I have my pressure cooker. I do have a slow cooker, but I tend not to use that as often as the pressure cooker actually. And I also have a small mini oven. Now, depending on what I want to cook, I will change which device I'm using. So if I want to slow cook something, I can either use the slow cooker or I can actually use the pressure cooker as well. So although it won't actually be cooked slowly, it has the same effect as a slow cooker because of the way that a pressure cooker cooks. I would say that's probably my most efficient cooking device that I have. It's something that we bought because of the inefficiency of our oven. So we did it to reduce our overall costs, and it has paid for itself. So if I'm cooking something that I would normally be cooking on the hob, I can do that in my pressure cooker. And although per hour my pressure cooker would cost more than my hob, because of the amount of time that things take to cook in the pressure cooker, the cost is actually lower than if I were to use a pan on the hob to cook that. So it's working out based on your way of cooking which appliance is best for which job. When you are cooking on the hob, make sure that you're using the correct size pan and the correct size ring. So if you use a ring that's too large for the pan that you're using, you'll be losing heat. So therefore it's not an efficient way of cooking. And whatever pan you do use, if you're able to, obviously some recipes you can't, but if you're able to, leave a lid on the pan, because that will keep heat in and again reduce the overall energy that you need to cook your food. Something that works really well with pasta and rice is to bring it up to the boil. You do need an energy efficient pan, so my cast iron pan that I use quite a lot is brilliant for this. You can do it with other pans as well. You just need to test out and see whether the ones that you have will work effectively. But you can bring the food up to the boil and then you just make sure you've got a lid on it and then just switch it off and let it use that residual heat to finish cooking. Another thing is to make sure that the rings on your hob are clean. So this is, I mean, it's important for both, but with gas, if you get sort of any build-up around the rings, they just will not be as efficient, and then you'll end up using extra gas and not getting the full potential out of that energy usage. You can also cut food smaller. The smaller food is, the faster it will cook. So if you're cooking chicken, for example, if you just chop it, sort of dice it rather than cooking it as a full breast, obviously not every single recipe this will work for, but if you have the ability to, dice it up and just do slightly smaller chunks than you usually would do, and then it will cook quicker, which will reduce your energy usage. Something else which is something that can help quite a lot with your energy usage is whether you should use the kettle to boil water or whether you should do it on your hob. Now that depends on your hob. Gas tends to be cheaper, but it does depend on your device, so find out based on what you actually have. I know that at the moment, on the new prices that we're currently now living under, my kettle is actually twice as expensive as my hob to boil a full pan of water. If I'm boiling less than that, if I just need a little bit, then the kettle is quite often more efficient. So it's just working out, again, it comes down to knowing your appliances and how much each one costs to use. Obviously, if you are using the hob, generally speaking, that will take a lot longer than your kettle. So you do need to, it's not just a like for like on the amount it would cost per hour. You do need to work it out based on how long you're actually using each appliance for. One thing you can do when you're using your oven, mine is huge, like I've said, so I tend to only use mine if I have an awful lot of food to cook. But when you do have your oven on, do try and fill it. So if you can cook another meal for the next day so that all you need to do is reheat it or something like that, or batch cook things for the freezer, anything like that, so that you can make use of the entire space of your oven, you can then reduce your usage that way as well, because when it comes to reheating it, rather than having the oven on for the same length of time, you might be able to reheat in the microwave, or if you are doing it in the oven, it won't take as long as it did to cook the first time round. So in the long term, that will reduce your energy usage quite a lot. You can also switch the oven off before you finished cooking, so a few minutes before the end of the cooking time, you can switch the oven off. As long as you don't open the door, it'll retain all that heat and you can finish off the cooking with that residual heat. Also, try and avoid cooking things from frozen. If you're having to bring things up to temperature from frozen, you're obviously going to need a lot more energy to do that. But when it comes to defrosting, don't use your microwave, use your fridge instead to get things completely defrosted before you then cook them. The other thing you can do, which is something which I haven't done yet, but it is something that I'm looking at doing, so I will let you know how it goes, but is to use a hay box or a Wonder Bag type thing. And if you don't know what that is, a hay box is literally a box, usually made out of wood, filled with any type of insulation that you have. So then as long as that insulation won't melt, so you can use the inside of pillows, you can use actual hay, hence the name, anything that will give you some insulation. And what you do is you bring your food up to boiling temperature on the hob, and then you would put it into the box, close the box up, and it will essentially act like a slow cooker for 8 to 12 hours afterwards. Obviously, if you are using this method, it is crucial that you just make sure that the food isn't dropping too low in temperature, so do check on it, not too frequently, because you need to keep the heat in the box. A Wonder Bag is a similar contraption, but it is made from fabric, and those you purchase rather than making yourself. You can buy them online, and the same goes for hay boxes. You can buy like kits and things to make hay boxes, but you can do this with anything. You could use a pillowcase and make sure that it's fully lined and insulated, and then wrap it around pans and things like that. It's something that I am looking at doing, because my slow cooker I tend to find gets a little bit too hot, so I need to be paying it a lot more attention than I really want to be when I'm slow cooking something. And also the fact that you then don't have to use any extra energy. Once you've got it up to temperature, you basically just set it and forget it. Basically, overall, if you are looking at reducing your energy usage while you're cooking, you need to know your appliances and what they're actually costing you, and you need to know the most efficient way to use them. So my biggest thing I think that saves us probably the most is to use one pan on the hob and do a one pot meal. One pot meals don't have to be boring, they really don't. We've had some amazing meals that way, and it's a brilliant way to keep costs down. Any leftovers or anything, store those, and then again you only have to reheat, so it comes down to just batching your food as well. The basic aim is to use as little fuel as possible and get hot meals on the table, so whichever way you can achieve that with what you currently have, go for it. So I hope you found that helpful. It's my first one in a while, so hopefully I got it all in there. If you've liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I would love it if you would subscribe if you want to stick around and hear more from me. I will be back, hopefully very soon. I will see you later. Bye.